Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jodwo Podcast, the show I made for just this one instance where I needed to make a podcast for my college subject, Multimedia Studies 111, Gender and Multimedia. Technology as we know it is already such a huge part of our lives, and artificial intelligence, or AI, is right there with it, front and center. Now, depending on who you ask or how you look at it, you may hear AI and immediately associate it with something negative or possibly even something positive. And I wouldn't really even be able to blame you either way. AI has so much potential to change the world for the better, but it also comes with its own share of issues, even more so for today's topic, gender. In this episode, we're going to talk about how AI and gender interact. We'll take a look at the biases baked into AI, how they affect gender equality, and what we can do to make AI work for everyone. Let's kick things off by breaking down what AI is and how it ends up reflecting human biases. Let's begin with AI. What exactly is it? Well, at its core, it's technology designed to mimic human intelligence. Imagine something like a pet, right? That knew absolutely nothing about anything, but is capable of learning everything you teach it by feeding it specific data. From there, it would then learn to make decisions and predictions based solely on the data you've quote unquote fed it. But that's the thing, AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. And where does it get its data? From us humans too. So surprise, surprise, that data will more likely than not carry our human biases with it. For example, a recent study by UNESCO found that generative AI often reinforces outdated gender stereotypes, homophobic attitudes, and even racial stereotyping. Women are portrayed as caregivers while men get the spotlight as leaders or decision makers. It also had a tendency of producing negative content when talking in relation to people that were gay or of different ethnic groups. Or another example, according to the globalobservatory.org, think about virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant. Did you know that they mostly only used female voices when they first released? Of course, Apple and Google have since then offered alternatives for more diversity and neutrality, but it still goes to show. Some studies suggest this subtly reinforces the idea that women are there to assist or serve, to have submissive personalities and be helpful. It's a small thing, but it adds up when you think about how often we interact with these systems. And then there's even image generation. Have you noticed that when you ask AI to generate pictures of certain professions, like doctors or engineers, most come up as men? But if you ask for a teacher or a nurse, it's mostly women? I have. I literally just tried it out myself using OpenArt.ai, and they gave me, when I asked for a nurse, they gave me a female nurse. When I asked for a doctor, they gave me a male doctor. Asked for an engineer, and they gave me a male engineer. Asked for a teacher, and boom, it gave me a female teacher. If that doesn't show you how ingrained gender roles are in AI systems, then I don't know what else to tell you. Well, of course, with the nuance that those were only just like a few attempts. So perhaps in the long run, it would be more fair, but that still just goes to show. So now you might think, bruh, I don't care, this doesn't affect me, I'm gonna do my own thing. Well then, let's talk about how these biases can affect real life scenarios. Let's take a look at the three big industries where AI is currently being used in: jobs, healthcare, and law enforcement. In hiring, algorithms meant to screen candidates often favor men over women. Amazon, for instance, had to scrap an AI hiring tool because it penalized resumes that mentioned women's colleges or activities. This kind of bias, as you can see, can make it even harder for women to get ahead in the workplace. Here's another one. According to Forbes.com, a hiring AI at a tech company once flagged women's resumes as less qualified simply because the system had been trained on historical hiring data, which, might not exactly be wrong when you think about it, but that historical hiring data contained data where men dominated tech roles. This bias obviously wasn't intentional, but the result was still harmful. Then there's healthcare. A lot of medical AI systems are trained on data mostly from men. That means they're not as good at diagnosing or treating conditions that primarily affect women. For example, some heart attack symptoms in women are different from those in men. And if the system isn't trained to recognize that, it could lead to misdiagnoses. You can see how horrible that might end up under the wrong circumstances, right? And finally, in law enforcement, facial recognition technology is notorious for misidentifying women and people of color. There was a case in Michigan, USA, where an innocent black man was arrested because facial recognition software misidentified him as a suspect. These errors not only erode trust in these systems, but can have, obviously, life-altering consequences. I mean, a woman in the UK was misclassified while she was wearing a headscarf. She wasn't even recognized as a human. And quite frankly, I don't think that's just a technical glitch, but a reflection that there was a serious lack of consideration for diversity during the design process of such a facial recognition system. But enough about being negative and pessimistic. It's not all doom and gloom. Just as I said previously in the beginning, AI has the potential to do more for the world if we use it thoughtfully. For example, just as AI can reinforce stereotypes and discrimination through the data we feed it, so too can it help identify patterns of stereotyping and discrimination by feeding it more appropriate data. In education, platforms like Girls Who Code exist, where they develop and use AI tools in order to bridge gender gaps in STEM fields, or in this case, encourage more young women to pursue careers in the tech industry. And remember the AI issue in healthcare? AI right now is also being used to address gaps in research. For example, AI-driven projects are ensuring that clinical trials include more diverse participants, making treatments more effective for everyone. So, how do we exactly tackle these issues? One big step is diversifying the teams that design AI. When more women and people from different backgrounds are involved, the technology reflects the bountiful and broader range of experience available to it. Key advocate for ethical AI, Joy Buolamwini, I don't know how to pronounce that, Joy Buolamwini, is the founder of the Algorithmic Justice League and has helped improve the facial recognition systems of major tech companies to lessen present bias. Companies can also use techniques like adversarial testing, where they intentionally try to break their AI systems to identify hidden biases. Transparency is another big one. If companies openly share how their AI systems work, it's easier to spot problems and fix them, On a policy level, governments can step in with regulations to ensure AI is fair and accountable. The European Union's AI Act is a good example of legislation aimed at minimizing AI risks while, promoting innovation. So in conclusion, AI is a powerful tool, and like any tool, it reflects the intentions and values of its creators and users. While it's currently amplifying some of society's worst biases, it also holds incredible potential to drive progress if we approach it with care. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Jawa Podcast. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out a ton. Yes, this is for a college project. I probably won't do stuff like this again. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye. Bruh.